Hi, everyone. If you're new to podcasting or interested in starting a new podcast, let me tell you a little bit about Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. And when hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. So for the brand new podcaster, that is a plus. So check it out. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm. That's F as in Frank, M as in Mary, to get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to In the Dark. It is a Sunday evening here in Pennsylvania in a total winter wonderland, which I love. I have been sick with, I believe, is COVID for the past 5 days now, and my voice is shot, and for some funny reason, you would think that this would keep me from doing a podcast, but it's making it so I have more time for podcasting. And now I'm doing more shows than I normally do. So it's kind of ironic and a little bit comical, in my opinion. But here I am, giving you almost a daily or every other day podcast going on. I apologize in this podcast coming up here. I think I had the microphone a little too close to my mouth. So it might be a little loud. If it is, just turn it down a little bit. Tonight I have Britney Fleming with me. She is from Alaska, and I've been talking to Britney for several months now. We met through her being one of my listeners, and she's just amazing. Some of the connection we have to each other is great, and she's got some incredible stories, and believe me, this is not going to be a one-show event. There's going to be more times I have her on because we didn't even scratch the surface of her stories and encounters and just her knowledge. It's just incredible. But she's a great girl, and I think you guys will really enjoy this, I hope. We got into talking about just so many encounters she's had: dragons, fairies, cryptids, just, I mean, you name it, it's there. So elementals, just fascinating stuff. And I'm excited for you to hear it. And like I said, this will be the first of probably at least, one or two more episodes I do with Britt. And if she's anything like me, I have a very strong feeling she's going to be dealing with things, in the future as well. So she'll probably be on quite often in the future. So you guys enjoy the show. Here we go. Hey, it's good to hear from you.
I know, right? It's so good to hear your voice again.
Well, I was laughing because the last time we talked, we continuously got cut off. It was awful.
It was bizarre, right?
Yeah, it was terrible. And so we weren't able to do an actual podcast. We just were able to talk for a couple hours. And then today we're having a snowstorm here. So.
Oh my gosh, are you guys? That's not.
Yes.
We just got over that. It was we had record-breaking dump here. Like, it was.
Did you?
Over 5 feet in over 3 days. I mean, it was absurd. It, like, the town kind of shut down. I mean,
I bet. Bad. Yeah, I went out.
Yeah.
I went out. It was supposed to start snowing at 5, and it did. It was 3 minutes before 5. It started snowing, and I ran and got some stuff, and I came out of the store, because I'd just gone in right when it was starting and came out. It was so slippery coming home. Like, I wasn't sliding because I have a 4-wheel drive vehicle, because I have a driveway and I live in an area from, it's like a toboggan run up here.
Right?
Yeah, it's crazy up here where I live. Like, it is a whole different, people don't understand. Like, they've never, unless you live like up on a mountain on a back road, you don't get what it's like to live like this. Or in Alaska, like we do. but um,
Yeah,
so
that's
I
like the norm here. You kind of,
yeah.
yeah. And that's what was funny is it didn't matter though. Even for my husband who's grown up here, this was record breaking, and we had on top of the three snowstorms, we had two sleet rainstorms. So we had 3 inches of ice that had built up. And so, like,
Oh
one of
wow.
the grocery stores, the roof caved in because of the weight. I mean, it was
What?
insane. It was
Yeah,
crazy.
we have ice all over up here too. You can't even get to the cars. Like I can't even
Yeah.
get the
Yeah.
garbage out to where actually we take the trash out. I can't
Yep.
get all because we are all the way like we take
Oh,
it all the way
yeah.
out back, and I'm like I can't even like it. We have the funniest stories up here in the winter. Like we have had some
Yeah.
really funny stories. Like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like I
Yeah.
have our neighbors live. We've got their properties. They're not like it isn't like side by side houses up here.
Right.
There's
Right.
like if you go in the back where like the properties are and stuff there's a lot of land back there and it's really
Yeah.
cool, but we have neighbors close enough that you feel like you're with people at the same time,
Yeah.
so they're
Yeah.
close, but then
It's
we've
kind of
got
what
this lake.
happens here. Kind of just
Yeah,
pull together like a community in a
yeah.
sense. But
Well, my neighbor, the one, they're kind of grumpy and they're nice to us, but they're grumpy kind of people. They're just not overly, really smiley, sweet type natured people. They're more like, the stern kind of just,
yeah.
they're just kind of jerks in a way. But I mean, they're nice jerks. It's really weird. But
Yeah.
they've got this, they're real territorial about their house. And they have this sign up out back. We have two ways of getting up here. We've got the back path, which we usually use. It's literally like a river lot road.
Yep.
It's awful. And we all keep talking about getting it paved, but nobody ever gets together to do it. And so if you pass our property, you get up to their property, and in their driveway, the beginning of it, they have a sign that says, private property, do not. Okay, Brittany and I got cut off there. This is our first cut off this time in this conversation. So hang tight for me. I'm getting her back on. Okay, we're going to do this one more time. And then if
uh,
it doesn't work that time, I'm going to just record us. Like, I'm
okay.
going to actually
Sounds
do the
good.
unconventional recording. So, anyway, what I was saying was you get to the neighbor's property and they've got this sign up and they're real territorial. And Matt one night, he came home from work and it wasn't Matt doesn't fall. He thinks he's Mr. Cool. Like he's
Oh,
Mr.
shoot.
Slick, and he just doesn't he thinks he's just like he can't do any wrong or he's infallible and that like it's kind of a joke type thing. But so
Yeah.
he comes home from work and he literally drives the Jeep goes all the way, slides past our property into their drive, into this the beginning of their pathway to their drive,
Oh,
and
no.
he ends up in their yard. He's got to get out. He gets the Jeep back out. It's my Jeep, by the way, not his Jeep.
Mhm.
My brand new Jeep that he was constantly driving,
Uh,
and he gets it back out. He parks it. He gets out of the Jeep and he goes around, and his whole body just falls, and he goes flying down the path on his
oh my
back into their yard again. And I mean, then he falls like 3 more times coming in the house, and I'm just laughing. I'm like, this is
oh
unbelievable,
God.
but he doesn't get home from work till like 3 in the morning and 2 in the morning sometimes. So,
Oh
the roads
yeah.
are extremely icy. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, especially that time too. They haven't even caught up here in plowing since this happened too. So like it's only like one lanes right now like in our neighborhood,
Yeah.
and it's crazy and you can't see people coming because we're like in the woods, like
Yeah.
there's spruce trees and the birch and then 10 foot, 8 to 5 10 foot burls of banks of snow. So but
Yeah.
I get it. Our kids were ice skating on the road.
Yeah.
So, I mean, literally, they put their hockey skates and were ice
Oh
skating on the
no.
roads.
That's awesome though. I remember we used to have like one year we had a whiteout coming and it was we still went out because we're idiots, you're like we're in
Oh
our early 20s and we're like, oh well let's go out then. We're
yeah,
having a whiteout, well let's go.
yeah.
So we were walking in roads, going to to eat. We went and got, my boyfriend and I at the time went and got clams and drinks. And it was just so fun because like
Yeah.
everybody was off the road, so it was
Right.
really cool.
I know we
But
like have this thing here, like, oh, whatever, we're Alaskan, we can
yeah,
handle it.
yeah, yeah.
But
Home of the
no,
disappearances and
not
like
really.
cold weather. When that's what Matt had. He comes home like I said, he comes home late, and he had one night he came home. He drives over this one back road, and it's all wooded, and it's got a huge cemetery up there. I mean, enormous. It's a
Ooh,
beautiful cemetery. It's just acres and acres of it, just gorgeous monuments and everything. And he said he's driving, and he's getting like halfway home through this road, and nobody's on the road. Of course, it's 3 in the morning. It's winter time. There
yeah.
is a suspended tree it's literally being held up invisibly. He said the tree wasn't attached to anything, and it's like it was leaning over to almost like wait for somebody to drive by and just club them,
Oh
or
my gosh.
land in front of a car so it causes an accident. But he said,
Right.
he's like, Tracy, I looked at this thing and I studied it. He said there was nothing at the base of this entire tree. It was off its root, like it had been broken off.
Uh-huh.
Nothing was holding it, and it was like suspended in midair. He goes, "The hell with that!" He said he turned around and he went the other way.
Oh my gosh. Right?
No,
Honestly, I'd probably be doing the same thing. No,
oh,
I'd probably honestly, like, in my mind, I'd be like, all right, who's doing this?
this is
Like, come on
yeah.
now. Like,
Oh,
let's be
crazy.
real here. What are you trying to do here?
Yeah, it's crazy because yeah, we live in Pennsylvania is a pretty crazy area for a lot of this stuff. Well,
Yeah.
tell me what's been going on with you. You told me that there was stuff that was going on since our
Oh,
talk, and I wish I could capture our original talk, but I can't. So we're gonna have to kind of
yeah.
rehash some things, maybe.
Yeah,
So
no worries. Well, first of all, I definitely think that there has been an uptick in what paranormal cryptids. I mean, I honestly think it's all connected, period. And I I you know I don't do this full time, but I had gotten just people calling out of the woodworks for help and stuff going on. And I
um,
don't know if it is just, if it is the energies right now, because they are definitely heightened for sure.
yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
God, off the charts. But I noticed that a lot of people are getting, or getting, or think that they're getting, but it might be, from something else, psychically attacked.
yeah,
And
yeah,
to where I'm sitting now, I think it's a combination. I honestly think it's a combination of um, their higher selves trying to wake them up, um, and
oh,
trying to push through fear and stand on their own 2 feet. I also think that there's a lot of residual negative energy that needs to get cleansed out
oh
that's
yeah.
been going on.
That's what I was just talking about my other podcast. Forgive me for my voice too.
Oh, you're
By the
fine.
way, I have just been this whole season has been sick,
Yep.
better, sick, better. It's just every single week it's up and down. It's like, and I thought we were getting something new. I kept thinking,
Right.
we were getting re-sick, and then I talked to the one doctor's office, and they said, no, what's going on is your immune system is trying to fight this off, so it makes you think you're better, but then it doesn't completely get rid of it, and then you get you get worse again. And I thought,
Yep.
so that now I get it. So now I don't feel so bad about the fact that I thought I was just getting sick over and over again. But yeah, I really believe we have COVID right now. I
Oh,
really do.
well,
I really do.
my husband just got it. The poor man's never been sick ever, ever, and he gets it, and he was even joking like, I have not gotten sick throughout this whole entire thing, not once. And
Yeah.
it just, he can't believe like how it's so drawn out. Now we got like a cold from it. Like I got a cold and I was, gosh, like maybe 3 days that wiped me out, and then I felt okay, and I never came up positive. But then a few days after that, it hit me again, where for
Mm-hmm.
2 days where I was drawn out, like, I mean, just drained,
Yeah.
energy drained, wiped out. And he's still, so he's on, like, I want to say day, I don't know, 10 maybe now. But
Okay.
it, yeah, like he's, the best way he explained it is it comes in waves. Like he'll feel like he's okay,
It
and then nope,
does. Yeah, that's what mine's doing. And it's just very fatigued, like wiped out, like you wouldn't believe, breathless. I went up
Yes.
steps yesterday. I thought I woke up and I felt better. And I ran up the steps and I thought I was okay to show my family my hair. I
Uh-huh.
was like, my hair was literally standing straight up in the like I have hair down to my waist. Okay, now I
Oh,
did
that's funny.
trim it.
I do too. It's right.
Yeah,
It's
and
like below my back. Yeah.
yeah. And so somehow or another, I have never had my hair go upwards where I look like the villain from like The Incredibles, like his
Yeah,
hair,
yeah.
or like I look like a corpse bride, like the women they used to wear their hair really high up. Like it was
Uh-huh.
hysterical. I was like, I don't know how my hair has done this, but it was really funny.
Oh,
So I
that's
thought it was hysterical.
hilarious.
So it was funny. So I ran upstairs to show everybody, and by the time I got up there, I was trembling, shaking. I was
Yeah.
completely out of breath. I couldn't, it took me the entire day, even with sleep, to feel like I was actually catching my breath normal again.
Right.
So
That's
this is,
interesting, Tracy. That is so interesting. That is literally exactly what is going on with us here. I even made the joke to my husband, like, do you think I should take a shower? Like, because I
yeah,
have no
yeah.
energy to do it.
No, yeah, you don't even have the energy to climb steps. Like we
Nope.
don't have a shower downstairs here. We've only got one upstairs. In our old house, we had,
Yep.
two full bathrooms, but I'm not going up there. The heck with it. I mean,
Right.
I go up, a couple about every other day, but I'm not going to stress this because my voice sounds terrible and I'm still loving my wonderful listeners and everybody
Uh-huh.
enough to try to bring a podcast to everybody sounding like a truck driving smoker or something. So,
Yep.
not to
Yep.
knock truck driving smokers, but for a woman, it doesn't sound as appealing. So,
No,
you
yeah,
know,
right, right.
but
Well, it's
just,
okay because you
yeah.
are completely not alone in this. And
Oh, God.
from what I understand, that's what's interesting to me is what I understand is like there is many of us that are going through this, and I find it so
Oh,
interesting that nobody is bringing up the very fact of the energies that are going on right now. I mean, even with Earth herself, she's shifting, and you know the fact that the sun, where is all these solar flares, all these things, just all this stuff is going on, and you cannot tell me that there is not a link to this too. Like you think about ancient prophecies and things like that, and
yeah.
I just have this, like, I don't know, this inner knowing that our bodies are going through some major shifts and upgrades, and it just makes me, keep going back and forth between the two. Like, what is it? Is it just the combination of both? We're getting bombarded with COVID that,
Yeah.
whoever the hell decided to come up with that and spurts it all over. And then on
Well,
top of that, the
yeah.
energies too. You're getting, we're, God,
Well,
could you imagine if they just announced that, like, to everybody, like, look, this is what's going on. You try and push your fluids. It's okay to call out. It's okay to just be sick, whatever. Maybe it might ease people's minds a little bit, like, but
yeah.
God forbid that ever happens. But whatever.
Well, I think I don't know if you caught, some of the stuff I was talking about. I did a podcast, I think it was yesterday. I can't even remember. I'm losing track of time here.
I know.
But I talked about these sightings of these creatures that just happened. I
Right.
just caught two articles, these Mothman looking
Oh,
creatures that are
yes.
always predetermined, like they always seem to show up before disasters. And I thought it was very intriguing that they were seen at airports And I thought it's interesting that airports in our society are ways for everything to travel worldwide, which could signify COVID traveling worldwide. So
Right.
I thought it was a really fascinating, interesting thing that these things are being caught at O'Hare. I think it's O'Hare Airport.
Right.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
I did listen to that, by the way. That was
yeah,
interesting
yeah. I caught
because
your one comment, but I mean, it's a negativity that is that these demons and creatures, like anything that's of the dark forces, they
hmm
feed off of the negativity. That's
yeah,
their food source. They're parasitic, and this
exactly.
is
Parasitic archons, 100%.
yeah, and these things are just they're having a heyday right now. I mean, they always
hmm
do, but this is just really. I mean, they're just they're loving this stuff.
Oh, yeah. What's so interesting to me about that is I had just listened to a podcast. I believe it was the night or two before, and they were talking about these winged beings that they were seeing. And I believe it was
Were they
actually.
really?
I'm not kidding. That's what blew my mind when I when I listened to yours. I said, because it's just ironic to me that you don't hear anybody talking about it at all,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then back to back, I heard that, and they were open about talking about it, but they were seeing them for a while,
Wow.
but kind of keeping it a secret, like yeah, like keeping it to themselves, but they were becoming more known, I guess, or making their presence more known. And then
They're
I had
all
just,
making their presence more known.
yeah, I just think that's just that is an understatement right
Yeah.
there. There was a gentleman or a group that had emailed in, and they were talking about how they were telepathically, um there was two of them in their group that were able to telepathically communicate with these Sasquatch beings, and they were it was they just wanted it to be known, like, and it took a while because they were saying, like, sometimes they don't answer you and sometimes they do,
Yeah.
and when they do, it might not be what you think it is. And they had told them that they were that one of three have already come and two more will come, and they were
Of
like,
you mean of creatures, of types of creatures.
well, that's what he was trying to figure out. What was he talking, like, is it,
Oh.
what is this coming or whatever? And at first they were thinking war, and he said nothing that he kept coming up with was good. And then he thought, well, COVID, like, is it that? And then two more are to come too, and then ironically have this whatever Delta, and then the Omicron or whatever the hell it is next and stuff, or is it different types of beings? But I just noticed that there is a massive upchuck in these sightings, and then even the telepathic communication. And now, to me, it's the dreams, and
Yeah.
that's what is. Um, I'm on the I'm to the point where, like, what is, if you look at everything energetically, what is going on? What are they trying to tell us? Like, what is what is happening? Like,
Well, I
what's
think
going
it's
on?
biblical. I truly
Yeah.
believe that it's, I mean, I always go back to this, and some people don't want to acknowledge the fact that this is biblical, but it's all
I
in
think
there.
you're absolutely right. I think it's all tied together.
It
And
is.
everybody wants to put this one in this category and put it over here in this
Nope.
category and label it this and then label it that, but that's technically what the dark forces really want you to do, instead of taking a step back and start, clearing your mind and having a more inner divine knowing
Yeah.
that it's all
Yeah.
connected.
Yeah, it's yeah, because like I've talked to different people about the Bigfoot and the Dogmen and other entities as well, and that along with the demons and the spirits, ghosts, things like that that get into people's houses and things like
Yeah.
that. And they said that some of their occurrences, they have a Sasquatch running around their house, and
Mhm.
to an unknowing person, they would assume it was a ghost.
Mhm.
So you've got, these active houses that have what they deem hauntings that might actually be cryptids that are inside that are,
Yes.
cloaking themselves.
Literally.
Right.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. And
I
I
definitely
know
think it's
it all,
tied together.
I do too. I do. And I know it all started with me with um the elementals and the fairies. And I've even I've drawn up some pictures over time of like the different ones I've seen. And I'll see their energy like first, right? Their energy and
Yeah.
their light, and then I'll see and then that's what happens. It will be in my dream, and I'll physically see them, and then it's progressed to that where it's heightened. I think I would catch them like out of the corner of my eye and stuff, but
Yeah, me
that's
too. I
been,
go through that.
yeah,
I catch everything
right.
through the corner of my eye. Yep. Not
Well,
everything. I see full on stuff as well. But
totally.
yeah.
So the other night I let my dogs out, and we've got all this snow, and I've got the tree lines and stuff, and then we've got like my husband runs a business, so we've got like the trailers and then the shop and stuff like that. And lo and behold, out of the corner of my eye I see this huge massive thing go and jump from my shed over this snowbank, like into the snowbank, and then just gone, right? And then I double looked again, and I was like, what the hell? And I go out there the next morning, and the footprint, this is so crazy. One single footprint that is left there in the snow actually looks like a massive dog footprint. And
You're
I
kidding.
have to be honest, Tracy, I've never had anything like that around here, or like, in that kind of sense. But I had that happen when we were up at our cabin. That, gosh, this howl slash roar thing that was not your average, Sasquatch type noise. It was more of a howl and a deep gutturing roar
Oh
that I
my
kind of
God.
wondered maybe if that was what that was too. But then I had this thing happen. It was so funny. I was just sitting there, and I kind of get into, it's really weird how it comes to me, and it just comes out of nowhere. And
Yeah.
I'll get this image, and it was this gray wolf in my head where he looked defeated, and he had put his head in his hand and shook his head like, oh, you won, like that kind of thing. And I
Wow.
thought, I'll be damn, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I mean, just, and this has been going on. I mean, just one after another. I always tell people, when you have these dreams that they're so vivid, you have your smells and your sounds and everything like that. It's not a dream. You're in your spiritual form. You are somewhere, and it's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
more realistic of what's really going on in a sense. And
It's dream state. That's actually when you're really doing stuff. Like you're really
yep,
living in your
yep,
dream. You're really doing things. It's called dream
yeah.
state. Yeah.
And I keep telling everybody that right now too. I think I don't think, I know there is a lot of work going on in your dream state right now.
Yeah.
A lot of work.
There must be because people are waking up absolutely exhausted, you
Especially
know?
if people are waking up too, Tracy, and they are feeling that their bones and their joints, and their, legs and things like that are aching.
Oh yeah. Yep.
100%. There's a lot of work going on and a lot of clearing.
There's people waking up with odd injuries, broken bones, all kinds
Yep,
of things from
yep.
dream state.
Burn
It's really
marks,
odd.
just crazy stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, Matt keep having he gets huge burn marks, huge bubbles that they're so burny, like they just, it feels like something
Feels like
hot
he's
got
on
poured on
fire.
him. Yeah, and it's a huge blister. It's like one big enormous blister. It's only when he sleeps. He wakes up every now and then with it. He doesn't know how he does it. He literally injures himself in his sleep. I've woken up with fat lips, you know,
Wow.
just my body feels like I haven't slept in weeks.
Yep.
No, just drained. I mean, just completely drained. And, I was told that it's because I'm doing battle in my sleep.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, that's why, there's supposed to be the spirits that guard us, like they guard our souls at night
Yeah.
when we're sleeping and such.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think
But
people need to understand that and take note that as scary as it may be, to take note that you are protected, that you actually have a say in this, even if it's
Yep.
unseen to them or whatever, because that is scary to think, oh shit, these things are running around, and I can't see them, and what's happening to me when I'm asleep. You do have a say in this, and you are protected, and
Yeah.
anything they can possibly do to remove the fear factor of it all will just move mountains. I just, God, if there was anything I could possibly do here on this realm, in this plane, is to get people to realize how freaking powerful we really
I
are.
know. I'm right there with you on that one. People do not even like when we get sick, like I was just thinking I had kind of going back to the whole COVID thing. And by the way, just so everybody knows, when I did have to go shopping because there was nobody here to do it for me, but I do curbside pickup.
Yeah.
Mostly I wear double masks. I have myself wrapped up. I have gloves, use hand sanitizer. I stay away from, I just, I stay away from people, when
Mm-hmm.
in general,
Right.
um, I I had a fever. Now I'm also on my fifth or sixth day. They say after your fifth day, you're supposedly okay to be around people again. I'm not sure if I believe that, but
I'm not sure if I believe that one
yeah,
either, too,
not sure if
Trace,
I believe that.
because yeah, what just happened with Derek, my husband, and even me, I'm telling, no. Why would we still have fevers
Yeah.
then? You know what I
Well,
mean?
see, I
Like,
don't
why?
have the fever. That's what I wanted to say.
Oh, that's good.
No, I got up the first day. I know I got it from my grandson Levi, who came home with a fever.
Oh, yeah.
From school, and wait, it's just awful. And he's always with me. And a couple of days later, I started getting sick too,
Yeah.
and I had a fever for a couple of days that was like 100,
Yeah, that's what
Fahrenheit.
ours were too. Like, not super high, but
Did
right
you take
there.
Tylenol or
Yeah, we
ibuprofen?
did. We just took Tylenol. I think I ended up taking ibuprofen 800 one time because I couldn't believe how um how much my body ached and how
Ached.
bad it
It was
was.
awful.
Yeah,
See,
like it was. That's what makes me really, honest to God, think, Tracy, there's a combination of upgrades in our bodies, in these vessels, our blueprints, along with this. I mean,
mhm.
it was bizarre, but you're 100% right about that. It was literally 5 days later that Derek got sick, like to the date. Like it was
Yeah. Yeah.
it
And
was
well,
on the
I got a
dot.
fever. My fever ended up being, listen to this. I took Tylenol one time. It was the first day because my body aches were so bad. And now
Mhm.
it's typical. They were I get body aches when I get fever. And so,
Yeah.
and I thought, it's not like me to take anything when I get
Right.
sick. I take nothing usually. So what happened was, um, my dad brought me medication and stuff too. He brought me ivermectin.
Oh, right
So
on. We ended up getting that too.
yeah, but I
And the
did not.
Z pack or something, zithromycin.
Yeah, but I hadn't had the ivermectin. The day that I was on, I had a fever of 104 degrees.
Jeez, Tracy.
And I laid there and I let it take its course. And that's what I'm trying to tell everybody. There is a reason why we get fevers.
Yes.
And fever
Yes.
is there to heat up your body so that it kills and cooks whatever is in your body that's
Yes.
causing it to be ill, much like boiling water. When you've got water contaminations and stuff, you boil water. It's
Right.
the same with fever. Do not jump and run and get Tylenol and ibuprofen.
Mm-hmm.
Try to wait that fever out as long as you possibly can. I let
Yep.
mine climb up to 104.1. I thought to myself, if it gets to 104.3, then I was going to take Tylenol again. But I wanted to lay there and let it cook itself. I was like, I have
Right.
to let this happen. Now, I know fevers can get there's controversy on it that they can get dangerous if they get too high and cook our brain. I'm sure they could if they get high enough, but
I've only had that happen once
did
when I was
you?
younger. Yeah, I've
Yeah, my daughter
hallucinated.
did too. She started having a kind of like a trembly seizure type thing because she was
Yeah,
so
in fact, that
tiny.
happened to my sister. That's what you just happened to your daughter. That happened to my
Yeah,
sister. She
but
went
she
into a
was like
seizure.
yeah, she was like 104 point. It was pretty high. I mean, it was like 104 point, probably like 104.1 or something when I did her temperature one day, and then she started kind of shaking. And
Mm-hmm.
so, but like with me, I mean, she was very tiny. I'm not. So I thought, well, I'm just going to lay here and I'm going to let this thing, if this is COVID, I'm going to really fight this thing with fever.
Yeah, that's all
And
I kept thinking in my head too. If this is what
yeah,
it is, I don't give a shit.
yeah,
I'm just
I'm just
gonna,
letting it. Yeah,
I'm just gonna let it ride. Yeah,
that's
like
what I
that's what.
did. But I mean,
But we
and then
did get the medication sent to us, and I did get it from the frontline
the
doctors.
ivermectin, yeah. But
Yeah.
I ended up I laid there and then the next day I woke up and my dad had called me and told me he wanted to bring ivermectin up. But the next day, after the 104.1 fever, I woke up and my fever was down to 102. Within
Oh,
a
nice.
couple hours, it went down to 100. Now I'm usually I run 97 point like 7 usually is my temp. So if I get up to 98.6, I have a fever.
Right.
Because
Right.
my
That's
body runs
interesting. I
lower.
run low too.
Yeah, a lot of people do now. They
Yeah.
say temperatures are changing in people.
See, there we go again.
Yeah.
There we go again with one more, just another thing that's added to the blueprint of everything that's changing.
Yeah, what's
It's
changing the human
interesting.
body that's causing our temperatures to drop,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
When I ended up taking the ibuprofen, I had taken a salt bath. Like that Himalayan salt stuff you can throw in your bath,
Yeah.
and gosh, it felt so good, and it also like kind of calmed me down. Like where I could just go to sleep in a sense and not be so
Yeah.
like achy. And
Oh,
then I woke up in the middle of the night and I didn't have a fever. That's what was bizarre.
yeah.
But my legs and lower back hurt so bad. Like it was just bizarre, right? Like it was
Did you have
abnormally
shooting
bizarre.
horrible stabby pains?
Oh yeah, like it
So
it
did
it,
I.
it yeah. And so then later that following day I got a phone call from a friend. He's a Reiki master and shaman, and he's all, kind of up to date on a lot of this stuff, and he's always just very open. He went through the same thing, I mean, almost the exact same time, to
Huh.
where he was, we kind of were working with each other and we're picking up on it. And he kind of pulled in that it was a form of working in our astral form 100%. Also, we're how did he word this? You know, as we move forward, our bodies are going to start to be lighter. And you we're here in this 3D realm and in a more dense, form of talking or whatever. But that that is what we're doing. We're purging out what we don't need anymore, is kind of the way he's
Okay, yeah, I
does
grasp.
that make sense?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
explained it. But
I mean,
he
now
also
I'm a Christian. I try to not, get involved in the whole like you it's so hard because it's the person I was when I started with all this journey with God and this whole thing is not the person I can say I'm 100% anymore. Like my whole
oh,
way of
I
looking at
totally
things.
could be there with you on that one
Yeah.
too. Could you
So
imagine, Tracy, if we asked everybody
yeah.
honestly how
So
who they
I
were
don't
2 years ago?
I've just learned not to have opinions. I've learned
Yeah,
that even though I love God and I believe in the Bible, it's not that I don't believe in the Bible. I'm just leery on some things about the
yeah,
Bible.
yeah,
And I do believe the Bible is, overall God's book. It's written inspired by God, inspired by I can't say good men because some of the stories in there are just horrendous.
right.
But
And it's
I
been hijacked how many
it's yeah,
times?
exactly. So but you talk to somebody that doesn't really have any further understanding than just that level, they can't grasp that far. They can't even believe, they won't even accept that there's a possibility that, you can still love God and be a Christian and still have discernment with what you're reading in a book that's been created by men that could have potentially
Yes.
been corrupted, and you still have to be cautious about what you're taking in no matter what it is.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I feel like, so I'm always cautious when, like the Christian group will say, oh, you should never get into the new age stuff and the whole talk of yoga and Reiki and all that stuff. I'm learning to not have opinions.
Right.
I'm
Right.
learning to keep my mouth more shut as far as saying this is 100% the way it is. We don't know that.
You're right. How can
Okay.
we?
We don't.
How can we?
You have to I believe, to me, what I do is I pray, I ask God, I stay in communion with him because God is our higher power. We believe we live in a totally supernatural realm. Our
Yes.
Bible's
Thank
supernatural,
you.
our God's supernatural. Everything about our world is supernatural. So
Yes.
we have got to stop putting all these blocks up in our minds and our spirits and closing off to the possibility that God potentially wants us to have further information than what we have.
Exactly.
What
That
we've
you
been
just
told.
said. Very well said. Very well said,
So,
Tracy.
yeah. But so that's to the listeners that are I know, I can hear it already, the comments that,
Yes.
oh, that's against the Bible. Listen, until God comes down. And which I've requested this with him. I've said, God, listen, I need to talk to you. I do talk to you. I said, but sometimes this invisibility act doesn't cut it.
Right.
Okay. I need more from you. I need more contact. I would like to have, to be transferred to heaven and have a talk with you.
I would like
And
to go and sit down with you, sir, and
yeah,
have
well,
and
supposedly if we fast, we're
oh,
supposed to do a
absolutely.
strict fast and not sin. There are
Right.
two prerequisites, I can't talk, you know, two things here that we have to, requirements that we have to fulfill. One is stop sinning. Second is fast. Then ask God to transfer you, because supposedly we're allowed to go in and out of heaven and visit.
Well,
That's
absolutely.
allowed. So I do need, I need more from God at this point, especially if I'm doing this, which I feel is for him.
Hmm.
I may not always have this right. I might get information wrong. I might get off track. I might get a little lost now and then because, like I said in my previous podcast, you get to talking and meeting so many people and
Yeah.
so much is getting thrown out there that, your mind is being opened up more and more and you're just like, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah.
What's going on here? Like this isn't
Right.
what we've been taught.
That's what I keep coming
So,
back to. That is
yeah,
absolutely what I keep. What is going on here, and what does this all mean? Ever
right.
since I was little, I was raised in Utah. You can religion, and the one thing I always kept going back to, I just was this little turd, and just no. I kept saying no to not all, but a majority, because I kept saying, who are we to say what is right and wrong?
Right.
What if there is a little bit of truth in everything?
Right. And
Why would God do that? Why would he? Nope, you guys are the right ones. All the rest, no. There's
it,
so
it
many
just
good
doesn't
people
make
out there.
sense. It
No,
doesn't make sense to me. It never, even
never has.
my love for God and my devotion to him, there is still, and he knows it. He's aware of my turmoil. He's aware of my questions. I don't need somebody else telling me that I'm wrong. I need God to reveal that to me, not you. You're
Yeah,
a person just like I am. You don't have the answers. Just
right.
because, you read the Bible and I understand that you believe in that 100%. And I think that's wonderful. I, however, have questions. And I'm not so convinced that it's all there.
Yeah,
Like
no,
other
me
people
neither.
seem to be contented with what they read, and they're contented with, that simpler walk with God. I maybe wasn't created for that. Maybe my purpose isn't your purpose, and God has a different purpose for me, and I
Hmm.
might need to know a lot more than you might need to know to fulfill my purpose.
Well,
Do you
that's just it.
understand?
No, that makes
You
so much
know?
sense. I think that's what it is for everybody. It's what it's just having that divine knowing within yourself. You
Yeah.
don't need other people to tell you things. You don't need it's that's where I just always go back. I don't think it's outward. I think it all comes within.
Yeah, I do too. It's something that you feel, and I believe with me, I know this journey that I've been on is from God. I know it's been with God 100% of the way practically. He's been right there with me, talking to me,
Hmm.
guiding me. Do you know the other day I was in the kitchen? It
Yeah.
was so weird because my kids keep seeing like they keep seeing like a child now off and on in the house that runs around. It's like a spirit child, or it could be something else, but it's presenting itself as a spirit child. And
Yeah.
I'm sitting in the kitchen. One of my family members had come home, and they were sitting at the table, and I was sitting there talking, and I got the biggest rush. I was like, wow, do I feel something standing behind me? And I was sitting on the chair a little bit diagonally facing the table, a little bit facing like towards, the door, and whatever it was standing behind me, and it had its hand on my shoulder, and it was large, and I swear to you, I felt it was Jesus.
Wow.
I was like, the Lord is standing with me right
Wh-
now. Like it was a
when
rush.
was this?
This was about 2 to 3 nights ago.
Huh.
It was wild. It was like it was I could literally feel their hand standing or on my shoulder. It was very comforting, very protective. Like they were just there. It was more like I can't say I felt guarded or
Yeah.
protected. It was more just like, "Hey, I'm here. I'm
Right.
standing right here. I got my hands on, not that they're telling me their hand was on my shoulder, but I just felt that it was like a comforting kind of thing, like my buddy was standing with me. And it was either the Lord or it was my angel. It was one or
Right.
the other. It had to be. It just had to be. It
Well,
was
yeah.
such
Yeah. That's
such a wow
interesting.
moment though.
Right?
When you can identify that it's the Lord. Like there's a lot of times I get messages where I hear something talk to me, and I get an overall feeling of who it is. And so many times it's different. It's different. It's like the one time I felt it was my grandfather. A lot
Yeah.
of times I feel it's my angel.
Yeah.
A lot of times I feel it's the Lord himself. But, it's neat when you can absolutely feel like you can identify who it is, you
That's
know?
crazy.
Yeah.
When I just had something happen like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, and I ended up calling my mom because I was just floored. And it was I've never I honestly I can honestly say I've never had this happen, where you have an angel or Jesus or anybody like fully come in like in appear or whatever. And I had just fallen asleep. And what was interesting is I was in the area that I live in, right? But
Mhm.
the background was like a yellow hue, if that makes sense. Like I don't know how I've noticed that over the last year and a half that my dream states, I'm starting to notice that certain times it'll have a different hue. Some will be very clear, like as we see it right now,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then some will be gold. And I was walking with somebody, and I honestly don't know who it was. I just know I was with someone, and I looked up at the sky and I saw this dot start circling in the sky, and then it opened up like a cone sphere, right? A
Mhm.
cone sphere. And I looked and I was like, and as nonchalant as you could be, I said, "Oh, who is that lady?" And that the what it appeared to be at first like a woman coming through ended up to where I said, "Oh, it's Jesus."
Oh,
And
wow.
he was coming through this sphere in the sky, like it as if the sky had parted, right? Like, as a complete cone sphere. If you look at geometric shapes, what it did, and he came
Right.
out, and it was, and the cloud, it wasn't even in clouds either. That's what was in, it literally looked like if something had broke through the matrix. I'm not joking, through the sky in this
No, I
sphere.
can't believe you're telling me this story. I got to tell you something when you're done.
Okay, and it and as the sphere opened and he came through, it got bigger, and from the outside of that sphere, that energy, it just started doing this wind wave over everywhere, and I
Mm-hmm.
felt it go right through me. And as soon as I saw him, I knew that it was him, and I'm telling you, it was not any picture I've ever seen before. And he
Really?
had sandy brown hair,
Yeah.
even to where, like, even tanned skin, where if you had, like your hair had been sunlight hit, from the sun
Wow, this is
and whatnot.
identical to what I
And
dealt with almost. Go
not
ahead.
yet nonchalantly, I knew that it was him, and immediately I was jolted awake. And never in my life have I ever had anything on that spectrum, if that makes sense, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I
that
had
was.
this same thing with I had when my I know I keep referring this is my journey. It's been a journey with God, and he has been taking me from what they call the rabbit hole, one rabbit hole to another rabbit hole to
Yep.
another, rabbit hole of just crap that's going on, that's really out there, that exists, that the truth. It's been a quest of truth that God has had me on with him, that Jesus has
Mhm.
had me on with him. And he's been gradually introducing me to this. Then, okay, she's got that. Okay, now Tracy, I'm going to introduce you to this now. And we're going to bring this into it. Oh, and get this, this is what, and it's like, holy
Yeah.
Lord, like this is nuts. So I got to the point where the Lord had done a couple of things with me that healed me miraculously. The one was my tooth story, which I've
Oh,
told in
yeah.
another podcast.
That was
Remember that one?
incredible.
Yeah, I guess I should probably tell it again, but I had this a tooth that was killing me. It was a molar, and this is a tooth that it was like the whole thing was in my gum. It was in there firmly as any of your teeth are in their gum. There's no way. It didn't even move. This thing didn't
Oh.
jiggle, it didn't move. Every time it was bleeding. Every time I even touched it, it was so infected, it was bleeding every time I
Oh
touched
my
it.
gosh.
Because typically, if you have a toothache, you'll start to kind of knock the tooth. You kind of knock it or tap it
You
to
do,
kind
right?
of,
You
yeah,
kind of start to put
yeah,
pressure on it, and
you do.
because it
Yeah,
hurts so bad.
exactly. Yeah, you try to put pressure on it, or you try to kind of knock it a little bit, to kind of tap it to kind of help the pain, and it does take the pain away, actually.
It
Yeah.
does.
So every time I even touch this tooth, this is a molar, by the way, it, bled very badly. It wasn't small bleeding, it was profuse bleeding. So I
Oh my
couldn't even
gosh.
touch this thing. So I went to bed one night and I was extremely close. I'm extremely close to God. He's like my best friend. I talk to Jesus constantly. I mean, I
Mhm.
I make mistakes. I say things, feel things, even get things in my mind that are, I know are wrong. And I'm like, God, you got to redirect me here, re-guide me, figure this out, like show me the truth, like guide me here.
Yeah.
And so because you get off track, you really do. This stuff leads you off track. So I was laying there one night and I said, God, Jesus, I said, I can't deal with this pain. I said, it's too much for me. I said, I have a dentist appointment in 2 days and I have to get through this for the next 2 days. I can't deal with this pain. I went to bed that night, and you got to understand, I've pretty, for the most part, I try my best not to sin. I do
Mhm.
everything I can not to sin. So I'm leading a fairly decent life where there's more. I believe that the ability to interact with the Lord is much deeper, because you're not, you're not living your life doing whatever you want. You're actually abiding by his laws. So it opens you up to being closer, having a closer relationship with the Lord, and him actually being able to communicate with you more. So it kind of lifts that veil a little bit.
Yeah.
That veil of evil and sin is lifted, because you're living more of a purer lifestyle, or life. So he, sorry, I'm kind of babbling here. I'm just kind of trying to find my words as I go. So I went to bed that night. I woke up the next day, and my entire tooth was gone, guys. My tooth was gone, guys. My tooth was gone. There was
And
no drop of blood. There wasn't as much as a drop of blood. And my entire gum was healed. This wasn't possible. It
not
wasn't
even.
possible. It was like the Lord. I want to cry every time I tell this story. Like, you guys don't understand how profound it is when you get up one day and you know that God has actually healed you, or done something that you know had to be God. There's no other explanation for it. It was like he took his finger and just plucked my tooth out and cauterized the whole gum and healed it completely over. It was as smooth as your gums are if you run your tongue along your gum above your teeth.
And that's
It
the
was,
biggest point right there. I mean,
you
you're talking
can't,
instantly, Trace. We all know what happens when you have a tooth pulled. You
you've
have a
got a
hole there.
hole, you've got clotting,
Yep.
you've got coagulation of blood. I mean, it's
Yep.
just, there's no way. And the
So,
pain was completely gone.
yeah. I
This
mean,
had
that
been
just shows
weeks
you.
of, it was just, guys, I'm telling you, God is real. Jesus is
Yes.
real. The Holy Spirit is real. And the less you sin, and the more you try, and the more your intent is pure, he
Yes.
knows your intentions.
I
He
think
knows
that's the
when you go
biggest
into
part,
something.
Trace. Intention. Your
Yeah,
intention.
yeah.
You feel it. He literally lives right there inside of you. He
Mm,
is with you. I don't think, I just wish so many could understand. Like, that's what I mean by how powerful we are.
right,
That we actually have that divine spark within us that is a clear connection to him.
right.
He is there all the time. We have that power within ourselves. And you do just have to do it. Doesn't come easy. You do have to
No,
do that work, and you do have to be there, be in that present moment. And that's the beauty of this world, the duality and sin of it all and everything. But to just start having that relationship 24/7 in the
right.
present moment, knowing that it's right there within us. I think that maybe that's where it's been hijacked and lost all
Oh,
this time.
yeah. Well, I believe, I mean, they always say that the biggest lie the devil ever told was that he wasn't real.
Yeah.
And I believe that the biggest lie that the devil has been passing off now is that you
Pretty
can,
sure I met him.
yeah, is that you can sin
Mm-hmm.
and live your life however you want and expect to have, a real relationship with the Lord. I mean, it just, now I'm wording that wrong because I can't recall exactly how I used to say that, but, you know, he
I always
just, the problem I have is that people don't understand that, I do this podcast of cryptids and dark spirits and stuff like that. I'm doing this so people understand how to protect themselves. I'm
Yes.
doing this so people understand that there's a true battle going on down here
That's
that we've been
exactly it.
foretold about by our God, that, you know we're knee deep in this battle right now, or neck deep in this battle, and we need to know what's going on here. We need
Right.
to understand that this is connected to God. It's
That's what
connected
I
to
love about your podcast. That's what I was
exactly.
drawn to you for. That it is all, this isn't some fluke thing.
It's not entertainment, guys. We're
No,
not here to hear horror stories about,
no.
the Mothman and Dogman. This is a real battle. We're at war right now. It's a war zone down
Yes.
here. It's a supernatural war zone where the
Mm-hmm.
head of it is Satan and potentially other groups. And then,
Yes.
our God is real. He's alive. And
Yep.
so that's why I'm here. And so I get these people that come on my podcast and say, no, 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 no. You shouldn't believe this. You shouldn't talk about that. Don't do this. Don't do that. I'm like, listen, guys, I'm not claiming to be the expert of all experts, but you don't understand the real, true relationship I have with the Lord. You
Mm-hmm.
don't understand how strong it is and how much our God communicates with me.
Right.
Okay, I know what I'm doing. I'm on the right path. I know that some of the stuff that I bring up and that I entertain the possibility of, and key word here, guys, is entertain. It doesn't mean because I'm talking to a person on one of my podcasts that I believe everything that they're saying, just because I'm having a cordial, pleasant conversation about it. Okay. But it does mean that I give things the possibility that this could be real, and this can
Yeah.
fit in with God. It can fit in with the Bible. It can fit in with the devil. Okay. It just, so I sometimes I have a hard time with some of these people that come on and it's like, it's like, you don't understand what I'm involved in here. You don't understand how much I know and the studies I've been doing every single day from morning to night for a decade now.
Yeah.
Longer. I mean, ever since I've
I
been
was
a
gonna
kid, I've
say,
been a
wait,
Christian.
that's been going longer for you since
Yeah.
you were
Yeah.
little, from
But I
what
mean, as
you've
far as
talked
the
about.
day in, day out, from waking up from morning to night, sitting with God all day long, allowing Him to take me from one rabbit hole to another rabbit hole, to another, showing me this, showing me that,
Showing you.
answering,
Yes.
answering things. I mean, here's another thing that happened to me, and I'll get into the story about what you were talking about that resembles mine. The one day I asked God, I looked up. I mean, how many people have God answer prayers to this level? And I'm not saying I'm special. It's
Mm-hmm.
not that. What I believe is that because sin agonizes me. When I sin, it kills me inside to know that I've hurt my God, that I've
Right.
hurt him and I've done something that that could potentially cause a veil to be put between us. It kills me if I sin, and it matters to me. So I believe that, and this is another part of the journey He's had me on, is teaching me how to not sin,
Mm-hmm.
teaching me how to give up sin. It's a process. It's not, you don't just wake up one day and say, oh, I'm going to give up all my sin and walk with God and be a good Christian. It's okay, this week I'm going to stop lying. Next week I'm going to stop lying some more. The week after that, I'm going to stop lying and maybe never take to swipe a pen at a bank without asking, or, maybe, get a grip on my temper more. Like, it's an ongoing daily, weekly, monthly, yearly process to learn to give up sin. And you still find yourself, especially, I would say the one thing that we land with after it's all said and done would be dealing with sexual sin, anger, and unforgiveness. Those are going to be the three absolutely hardest things that human beings have got to break. But
Yeah.
you got to learn, take one sin at a time and work at something. Show God you love Him. Give Him back something. Show Him He matters to you. Show Jesus His death mattered to you enough to live your life where you're trying to give up sin.
Yeah.
And when you get to that level, that's when you're going to start really hearing God. So
I
the one
think
day,
that totally
go ahead.
ties in with loving themselves.
Yeah,
If you
it
don't love
does.
yourself and can forgive yourself, you know that old saying, if mom's not happy, nobody's happy. If you
Yeah.
aren't right with yourself and you're not right and okay with your own mind and body and soul, then how are you to, you know, be able to, to set examples for your children, anybody else around you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I come in with him. I think that might be his number one lesson, is to love thyself. And I always taught my kids this, that old saying, treat thy neighbor the way you want to be treated,
Oh,
treat other
definitely.
people with kindness,
You have
because
no idea what kind of day somebody's having. No idea what kind of
mm-hmm,
life they're having. You
yep,
can't, the littlest thing you do to somebody could keep them from committing suicide that day.
yep, the
If you
little
give them a
smile.
smile. Yeah. Anything. But, God, the most, one of the number one things I hear about in near death experiences with people is that the one thing that God wants us all to know to do is to love.
Yep,
It's about love and forgiveness is what it is,
yep.
because most of the things that people do are influenced by demonic or dark spirits or
I don't,
entities.
Tracy, you just nailed it. You just nailed it right there. I, God, you should just name this. Like, this is actually what's really going on in the spiritual realm. And you walk into your home. How many people have walked into their homes and they were okay, right? They're okay.
Mhm.
Say you come home from work, whatever, and all of a sudden you're irritated. You're picked up on something.
Yeah,
I would, honest to God, say 99% of the time, that is not you. That is,
it's not
it is a parasite form feeding off of your energy
right.
and creating that. And
They need that fuel. That's their
that's
food
their fuel.
source. It's their
That
food
is
source.
their
Do you know
fuel.
how many times I've gotten into a family feud with somebody in my home, and within an hour after the fight was done, we see spirits, we see demonic activity, like Chandler calls it, the hat man, or the tall man is what she calls it.
Oh,
We
I
have
actually
we
have
have
some. I
cupboards
listened to
bang.
that. I have
Yeah,
a story about that, by the way.
we
Go
have
ahead.
cupboards
Sorry.
bang every single time. Almost we get into an argument, some kind of poltergeist activity starts taking place
Mm-hmm.
in my home.
Yep.
That's their fuel, guys.
Yeah.
That's what we're up against. We're not up against each other. The Islam guys that are out killing people and slaughtering and committing murder, those are demons of war and
Yeah.
murder that are taking over these people's bodies and minds. The mothers that kill their children, fathers that murder their family, those are they're demons.
That's not them. Yeah. We heard these stories, Tracy, and we're like, what in the world could possibly ever, you know what I mean, drive someone? And then you hear their story
It doesn't.
after.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, they don't remember it.
They don't remember it.
They have
They
no
don't even
recollection.
know. They and it really hits home with me. The one with that man in Colorado, and his wife, and she was pregnant, and the two younger kids. My sister actually
Oh,
worked with her and had just came home from the Lavelle uh well, not what conference they had just had in Arizona, I believe.
yeah,
And that had happened, and that, I think, it sits with me because it sits home a little bit.
yeah,
And but he I will never forget his word. I That was not me.
yeah.
Like, he could not. Yeah, and that's just one of how many, you know.
And what are people doing to? What are we doing? Not we, but the people that are falling victim to this. What is going on that's causing that opening for these entities to get into that level? You
Right,
know?
because they don't know themselves and they're lost too. I mean, we all could say we're lost. I've been
Yeah,
here so many damn times. And you are, and it just takes, I mean, I don't even the whole black magic, and I'm talking MAJIK. Like there is a reason why it's called spells and all of that. People don't realize, you know, the symbolism and the vibration that your own words can carry and your own thoughts.
I know.
And that just goes back to know
That's even in the
thyself.
Bible too, though, Brittany. That's Jesus
Yeah.
said that our words have power.
Yes.
It's literal. Our words have power.
Yes.
When you talk negatively about somebody,
Yeah.
every time you talk negatively about a family member, a child of yours,
Yes.
a person that lives next door, somebody you ran into the store, you're cursing that person.
Yeah.
Every time.
And you're bringing it back onto yourself tenfold.
Yeah.
That's what people have to realize too, I think. Like, you know, when you do things like that, you're bringing that back. You're really sending it back and opening yourself up to that. You know,
It's just
it's
crazy
out
stuff.
there in your face. Yeah, like one of the things I had started doing a long time ago was listening to music, you know, nonverbal music, just, you know, symphonic music and things like that. And even just like that, like you said, one day at a time, taking yourself through there, and not, I'm not going to do this, you know, not sin or whatever, but
Yeah.
even give yourself the respect that one day you're going to do, like, I'll do one thing for myself today, and just take 15-30 minutes and listen to that and just sit in peace,
Yeah.
and start loving yourself and start taking care of yourself.
And
those
so
those little
I play
things go
music.
so far.
I
Oh
love
yeah, that's
music.
definitely my thing for sure. It works really, really well for me, I think. And just, yeah, all of it. But
I had a funny
you
thing
start to
too.
notice the difference on a daily basis in yourself.
You have to stay positive. I have, that positive vibe that we put out or take in, even
Yeah.
the stuff that we watch, stuff we listen to, you can pick and choose. If you're sick, if you're dealing with sickness, the one thing you should do is, as you're laying in bed, put on some healing Bible verses.
Yeah, there you
Put them
go.
on low. Sleep to that. Don't
Mm-hmm.
sleep to, you know, horror movies or Vampire Diaries or, The Walking Dead.
I
Go to
know,
sleep. You
right?
know what I mean? Like, what are you surrounding yourself with when you're sick
Right.
and you're trying to heal your body?
Right. It's so funny how even, gosh, everything. Does anybody wonder why they push that? Like,
The agendas. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
I know it's just, oh my God. You get into, I have Netflix, I have a monthly membership. I
Yeah.
pay for the kids so they get their cartoon movies and stuff, but my God, it is just trash, 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 trash. I just go by it. And some of the stuff you hear, the lyrics, the songs that pop up, the movies that come on, I'm just like, this is just sickening. Even the, I love all genres of music. I mean, there's in any kind of music you can find something you love,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
almost. I mean, I can't say anything, but some of the stuff I'm looking at, even with like K-pop and stuff, holy Satanism, Batman.
Uh-huh.
Like,
You
you're
know,
talking satanic stuff that it's through the roof
just
with
like
this
that
stuff.
concert that just
Well,
happened.
yeah. Oh God,
You
yeah.
know, you saw those kids coming on, and even this one kid hit home. Like, it actually choked me up. He was in the vehicle, you know, in the parking lot that night. He was saying how he looked up to him, and he makes music too. And he said that was demonic. There
Yeah.
was nothing
It's a
good.
ritual.
It was a ritual, it was demonic, and that he had lost every ounce of respect for that. And
Yep.
the you know and I think there is an awakening happening. People are, even these young kids are starting to see, look, this doesn't help you, this isn't good. And
No.
there's even rap music is being produced, and like new age groups that are coming out that are actually pretty awesome. They're talking about the rainbow kids, and
Yeah,
it
I
talks
know.
about that in the Bible, and things like that, like an awakening. And this one song, I couldn't believe it. I was listening to the other day, and I was just like, absolutely, I wanted to scream like, hell yeah, like, bring it
Yeah.
on. Start flipping the narrative. Know
Yeah, I
thyself, it
know.
talks in it. And it said, know thy soul and know the souls that you came in with. Like, I could not believe it, Tracy, that I mean, I was proud. I was like,
Hmm.
yes, start
Yeah.
flipping it. Start, yes. Like, and it does go back to the universal language of love. And
Yeah.
that's what resides
Yeah,
right
I
there.
hope so. I mean, some of the stuff I worry about because they do put spells on
Yeah.
music, so you just don't know if it's like the wolf in sheep's clothing, type
Yeah,
deal.
that's
So you got
where
to be
people
careful.
need to. That's, remember we were talking about this last time when we were talking how it was weird. Like, I had told you, it was right before quarantine. I had that 2-part spinal surgery, and then came back, and quarantine had happened, and
Hmm.
started almost obsessively diving down these rabbit holes. Like, it
It's
was in
me.
2018 is when it started, and I just kept going one after another, almost like you're like being guided. And
It's exactly what it is.
yeah, and even though, and I to the point where I caught myself, like, I'm getting disgusted, like, I'm getting tired of this, I need to give myself a break, I need to go, we go camping and fishing and stuff like that, and then I come back again. But the it is, you do need to be aware of it, you do need to see it, because it is real, and that
Hmm.
is, and people got to ask themselves, does this really feel like this is in your best interest? Does this really feel like this is what's really going on,
Yeah,
and go with it. But how is anybody going to better themselves, or better, you know their themselves, their language, their knowledge, anything like that, without seeing both sides of the coin? I
I
mean, if
know.
you're a parent and you have two kids that get in trouble, or fighting, don't you listen to both sides before you help guide them in making a better choice?
Hmm.
I mean, that's just common sense.
I know it
All
is.
this secrecy, all this crap, people have got to ask themselves why, because it's
Well,
not for your best interest.
we're in trouble. I mean, here, this country and
Yeah,
the
we're,
world itself this has gotten escalated into something that's so big that
oh god,
it's
yeah.
it's just far. I mean, we're I can't even put this into
It's
words. Like
hard to wrap your brain
it's gonna
around it.
take God himself at this point. We've given the government too much power. We've
100%.
given we've given our power and our rights, and we're just continuing to do so. And it's getting to the point where they want world domination.
Oh,
And
yeah,
it's biblical, it's satanic, we're in trouble here.
right.
We're in serious trouble here.
Remember
You
that
know,
saying? I don't remember the verse. I think it was the commandment. It was, treat thy neighbor like thy king, like yourself, you
you
know?
treat thy neighbor like you like yeah, like you
Yeah,
as yourself.
and that is the way it was. That, like, I think I keep trying to go back to this. It's actually simple. It's not
Mhm.
it's not all these Section 81 law, this crap. No, that is black magic. That is black spell. It is simple. There is
Yeah.
never to be one above another, period.
That's
There's never,
exactly right. That's the problem I have is what gives one man the right and the
yes,
power over another man to dictate what
that's
they
what I'm
should or
saying.
should or can or can't do. I mean, who is like I don't this stuff that goes on doesn't make any sense to me,
Mm-mm.
you
How
know?
many people are saying that right now, too? Does this really make sense? Even the suggestions and this information, it literally is a war of information,
Yeah.
misinformation too,
Yeah.
because you're not getting the full picture. You're never going to get a full answer from any of this 3-letter agencies, period. You never
Right.
will.
I have a really
That's
good
so weird. I just remembered something. I
what?
had the most weirdest thing happen to me the other night. um my mom's my go-to too. It's so funny because I even texted her. I was shown this image, and it was of Putin, Vladimir Putin. I don't even know. It was intense, and
Okay.
and then I went to sleep, and I woke up, and I'd had like this. in my dream state, which was bizarre to even get into it. But it was this full blown conversation with him. But the moral of what had happened is he had said the time was running out. It was so bizarre. I don't know why I just cut you off, or why I
No,
just
that's
remembered
okay.
that.
No, that's
Yeah,
fascinating. You don't know what was, what he was, I mean, did he mean like with the world or?
yeah, with the world,
Okay.
absolutely. And what was weird is I was in his. Well, I have no idea because I've never been in his home, but like a bedroom of like a mansion type, like it was very vaulted ceilings and dark, like like extravagant woodwork. And
Yeah.
what was nuts is I was sitting on a chair by his bed and he was asleep, but he would like his astral form was sitting next to me talking to me. That's what was
Wow.
so crazy. And he had said, I asked him why he was frazzled, like he seemed, I don't want to say panicked.
Hmm.
It was more frazzled, like irritated,
Okay.
like he was just, to me he's always been very cool and calm and collected. And so
Yeah.
when I saw him like this, it was, very out of character. And I asked him what was what I asked him if I could talk to him, and then I asked him if he was okay or what was going on, and he had literally said time was running out and that he
Mm.
like he had to make a decision, and that
Oh
this world
boy.
has no idea how close we are, and that time is running out. Oh, a shift. And that it was, he had a very heavy decision weighing, and he never told me his decision he had to make either. He had a
Yeah.
very heavy decision he had to make, that he it was just weighing very heavy on him, but he was more worried that the time was running out. And then as he I thanked him, and then we kind of started laughing and joking back and forth. And I
Right.
said, "Oh, well, you're talking to an old soul." And he goes, "Well, you're talking to an ancient soul." And we
Wow.
were joking. Yeah. And I said, "Do you know your soul?" And he goes, I'm getting to learn who I am." And I said, "Me too." And then I said, "Okay." And then that was it. Like we gave each like a hug in a sense, but it was like a half hug. And I
Yeah.
told him to have a good night, and sweet dreams. And then he said something back to me in Russian, and I woke up and it was 4 something in the morning, and I went and googled it, and by damn, Tracy, he literally said to me, sweet dreams in Russian
You're
back to me.
kidding me, Brittany.
No, I'm not. And
It
so I,
sounds like he astral projected or
yeah,
his soul found there's some kind of connection between you two, or you're a beacon.
some something, because I started blowing my mom's phone up
That's
because
insanely awesome.
yeah, I was just like, what? And I don't know Russian for the
No,
my
I know
backhand.
a
Like
little
I don't
bit.
know crap. So I was trying to pronounce out what he had said, right? And I was trying to text and pronounce, and then I'll be damned, it pulled right up, and it was right there at the bottom, and it was something that you say in a formal manner to a an acquaintance, not an acquaintance, formal manner to a family member, or someone, in a formal manner of saying sweet dreams.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is super cool. That really, I like to hear stories about, how people can actually wake up speaking languages and stuff that, saying things that they don't know,
Yeah,
and or
because
or
that
getting
was
information.
definitely,
Yeah, getting information in their dream that they had no idea
oh,
about, you know.
100%. That has been I think that's why I reached out to my mom. That had happened to me 2 other times that were so apparent that I had no idea what the word had meant. And I told my mom this too. I know, for if my soul, like if that had not happened, I probably would be questioning what just I had dreamt, right? Like, or what
Yeah.
I had done. But the same thing happened in another dream. I was dreaming and I was with a sister. I have 6 sisters, and I we were in Utah in that valley. I mean, this is just freaking one of astronomical amounts that have just been happening over the years. But this wasn't last summer, it was the summer before. And Salt Lake, this modern city, it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't it wasn't there. But we were in a vehicle and we were trying to make it to the top of the Wasatch Mountains because there was an earthquake that was happening. But I, in my mind, like, I did not understand. And we were in a double cab, and the gentleman was trying to explain to us. I kept asking, what's going on? Like, what is happening? And he scientifically started explaining to me what was happening, and it was emulsifying and this and that. And I woke up and I didn't know what that meant. Well, I googled it, looked it up, and emulsifying is what happens when there's an earthquake and the things start melting. And I just thought, holy
Wow.
shit. And in my dream, I literally, after he explained that, our truck had sunk, like we were swallowed, and I died.
Oh,
um
that's not cool, Brittany.
I know. Have you ever had a dream where you died? I've had two.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had some really crazy dreams.
Yeah.
I
I
had
just
the
think
one.
it's a connection. Maybe there's just those that have a deeper connection to, you know, that intimate connection to yourself, your soul, or knowing that we are, multidimensional, spiritual,
Yeah.
whatever, because
I
it's
had Jesus had the one you were talking about, the dream you were talking about earlier where you saw Jesus. That fascinated me because as I started to tell about, my tooth and how close I was, starting to get to God at that point. I was just
right.
so just spending so much time with him. Every single moment I could was with the Lord, just talking to him, watching things, being shown things. And I remember the one night I went to bed and I asked him, I said, I want to see you. And I said, I know that, people aren't as blessed if they need to see you to verify it's you. I said, but that's not why I want to see you. I want to see you because I love you and I just want to see you. I just would like to hug you or just to see you.
Uh-huh.
And I was in dream state and I remember the next morning I woke up right before I woke up. I'm sorry. It always happens to me right before I'm waking up. And
Totally.
that's dream state. And um he I was laying there on my bed and excuse me, the sky was all blue in my dream state. It was like beautiful blue.
That's
And
interesting. That's how it was with me. The
it
sky
was
was this piercing blue.
yeah, it was this beautiful blue.
Yeah.
And he just moved forward. It was like it was just this beautiful blue sky, and then you knew that he just moved forward. And he was standing there in the most beautiful, like it was like a robe, like a cape.
Yeah.
It almost reminded you of something like the Pope would wear or something. Like it was like
Yeah.
that, this beautiful robe that was like ivory white with diamonds all over it. And the thing that got me about the dream was the staff. He was holding a staff.
Oh
And
my gosh, Tracy, he was holding a staff too when he
yeah, and
came
I
through
thought
the
that was,
sphere.
yeah, but mine, it was like the staff was also covered in diamonds and like
Oh,
ivory white.
wow.
It was beautiful. It was like a rod. It was gold and ivory and like a almost not like a little bit whiter than ivory, but it wasn't
That's
white.
interesting.
And it was covered in diamonds. And he had on this crown that was just magnificent, that had diamonds all over it. It was gold. And his hair was to his shoulder,
Yep.
to right at the end of his neck, it seemed like. And it was like sunbeamed. It was like brownish, sandy brown with
Yes.
almost like a blondish brown, but you knew that the reason you thought it had blondish a lighter look to it was because there was this ray of light
Yeah,
like
like it was
coming
hit
from it.
by yeah, exactly. Like it was being hit by light, like
Yeah,
that it was this, like the way people might look when they've had, highlights in a sense, but obviously not. But that's the way it was looking to
yeah.
me.
It
And he
was lit
didn't
up.
have dark. brown hair. It was
No,
sandy
it didn't look it. It was sandy.
brown.
It was
Yeah.
sandy brown. And it's funny because that heaven is for real testimony. The two kids from two different parts of the world said his hair was like a sandy brown. It was like a light,
Really?
like a brown. Yeah, if you see the picture, look up a cayenne. It's Akiane. Her real depiction of she was a Russian girl that was
Oh,
raised in an
that girl,
atheist
that young
family.
girl, huh? That
Yeah,
painted him.
she painted his real face, and then Colton Burpo, as a 3-year-old, was stunned when he saw her painting because his dad had been consistently trying to say, "Is this what Jesus looks like? Is this his face?" And he was like, "No, the nose is wrong, the eyes are wrong, the hair's
Right.
wrong." And then he stopped dead when he saw her picture, and he
Oh,
said, "That's him. That's Jesus." And
wow.
no, but his picture, I have it hanging in my bedroom right now. His hair is sandy brown.
That's so
And
cool.
but in this when he showed me himself, it looked even lighter because it was lit up. It was light.
Yeah.
It was just light all around him. And he had beautiful eyes, and he had this really a beard and a mustache, but it was very cropped. It was very
Very clean cut, huh?
clean. Yeah, and it was
Yes,
short.
that's how I saw it too.
And he just stood there and he looked at me. And then I don't remember if he moved back. I think he did. I think he moved back and it became the sky again. And I woke right up. And I remember the humor that wasn't lost on me about the situation was I asked you to see you. I didn't ask to speak to you
Yeah.
because he
Yeah.
was completely quiet. And
Right.
I thought, there was like, irony to it that was kind of cute in a way
Yeah. Yeah.
that's how technical he is about things,
That's
you
interesting
know?
because I got that feeling when I was saying like it was so nonchalant. And I don't know who was with me, but it was a girl. I do know that's who was with me on the right side.
Yeah.
And it was and like at first I thought it was a woman and we're like, who's that woman? Like, who would nonchalantly, you see a woman coming through the clouds, right? Like, but it
Yeah.
was so nonchalantly, and oh, it's Jesus. And it was, and he looked at us and smiled, and it was, there was a very humorous but genuine, like, lightness to it. Like, everything is so dead serious here in this world, right? This
Yeah.
realm, like
Yeah.
it would, no, there was humor to it. It was him. He carried. It was. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. And I know exactly what you're talking about with talking with them every day, because I learned that when I was younger. I placed a little girl for adoption, and my grandpa had talked to me about this, about you don't have to pray. You know what I mean? Like, you can speak with them whenever
Talk.
you want. Like,
Right.
and that opened a big door for me, and I just thank him for that. One of those synchronicity moments in my life. And when I placed her, I had something like incredibly magic happen, that just, the veil opened 100%, because I was the only one that could hear it. But it was the my grandmother told me it was the heavenly choir, and I think it's more of that that harmonic music you hear that people talk about, or whatever. This was 20 some years ago too, and
Mhm.
I thought they were playing a radio, like I thought the radio was on, and then I actually thought there was maybe women, at the other end of the hallway, like singing to somebody, but it nobody was there, and I just heard it. And at that time I was reading the Bible, because you know i'm I was reading it all, trying to figure out and be guided on what the right thing was to do. And
Mhm.
that was my blessing and my gift, my confirmation that I did make the right decision. And it
Right.
was the divine, just following that, knowing within myself that this was it. But that was, yeah, it's when I would chat with him, and even still now to this day, even when I was younger, I always had imaginary friends. there
Me
was there
too.
was always
Yeah.
lightness and humor to it.
Yeah.
It's not this, you're going to hell, and
I know. I know.
yeah, right. And I think maybe that's what needs to be dispersed more. That,
Yeah,
just
he's, that's the one thing he's taught me. He's like, you don't have to get down on your knee and have a formal prayer with me every
mm-mm.
conversation, because what that does is it becomes a job. It becomes a
Yep.
burden. People don't want to go through
Yes.
this ritual to have this close relationship with their God. They want to just have a flowing, normal. He's your dad. It's your savior. It's your father, and he wants you to just talk to him. Do you know how many times I talk to God when I'm in the tub or sitting on the
Yeah.
toilet? You
Yeah.
know, my
And does
dad
it ever
teases
come
me
back
about.
like funny? Like you get these
Yeah,
knowing,
I'll say stuff
it's
to
not
him.
right. It's not you answering yourself. It's this
No,
knowing.
no,
Yeah.
I just look at him. I'm like, I am so sorry, Jesus,
Mhm.
and I'm sitting on the toilet again, talking to you like I
Yep.
always am. But it's
There
like
is something about the bathroom. I will
I
tell
don't
you
know
that.
what it is, but every time I'm in the bathroom, that's like my time with God. And
Yep.
I told my dad the one day, I am so much like my dad, and
Yeah.
he started laughing. He goes, "Well, guess what?" And I said, "What?" He goes, "I keep a Bible in the back of my toilet. That's where I sit and read it." And I just started laughing. I said, "I don't know what it is. I'll be in the tub crying, screaming at God, saying, 'This isn't fair. I don't understand it. How could you do this to us?'" Like, I go off on these tangents with him and I get all angry. And then I'll be like crying later, going, "I love you. I'm so sorry. Forgive me for getting upset with you. I just don't understand. I need answers. And, you're not giving them fast enough. And I'm sick of this disappearing act of yours. And
Yeah.
you're constantly invisible. And I know you're there, but yet, it's like this game that has to be played. And I'm like, I don't understand why. And, I
Mm.
believe in you. And why do we got to go through all these weird formalities? And, like, I just, oh my gosh, we have the funniest relationship. Like, he just,
Yeah.
like, I mean, I'm either screaming at him or crying or laughing with him, or, or he's showing me, like, but that's what I mean. Like I have a true walk with the Lord. Like, it is a true, honest to God, 100% genuine relationship with the Lord.
Yeah.
And I don't need advice on God. I will get that from God himself. you
Right.
know
That's it. That you said it right there. Like where you're saying, earlier, it might work for you, might not work for the next person or whatever,
right.
but it all comes within. We're all unique, right? We're all
We all
made in
have a
his
purpose.
image and we're
Yeah.
all imperfect. So what works for one, might not be for the next, but it all comes from within.
Right.
And
It just,
yeah,
well,
like,
to me, for me, it comes from the Lord. Like,
yeah,
he's a
I see
part
what
of
you're
me.
saying.
I'm a part of him. And
Yep.
I
That's what I
just,
mean, I think. Like
there's
more.
a connection
Yep.
between you with God. Like, there's a link. We're part of him. We're part of his
Yep.
body. We're part of his heart. He loves us. He loves us enough that you had a young, beautiful, healthy, capable man that gave up his life willingly to be tortured, not just crucified, but before the crucifixion, he was absolutely tortured and beaten and belittled and hung on a cross. He did this willingly. He didn't have to do this for us. There was
Hmm.
no requirement that said that Jesus had to die, that he had to save us. He chose to do this for us. And the least we can do is show him something back, and
Hmm.
it's all people can do to pray. They can barely, you know, muster a few words to him, but once a week. And this isn't even about going to church. This
No,
isn't
not at all.
this isn't about
That's
going to
that's the other
church.
thing that's always bothered me. I don't
You know?
think that that's what was meant to be. It's supposed to be with us 24/7. We
Right.
don't need to
Church is
go
within us.
to a church, and never ever should we have ever been put under, you know, a bishop, pope, whatever,
Right.
to
Well, I'm
have
not
to
Catholic. Yeah, pastor. Right. Yeah.
whatever. I mean, and I don't even know the religion that much. So, I mean, I'm just saying, I think it was that's our own conversation with him.
That's what I do. I mean, I get on. I love David Wilkerson. He's dead now. He is one of my absolute all-time favorite pastors.
Yeah.
Him, Ravi Zacharias was amazing. He just died just last year. Alistair Begg is good. James McDonald. These are people that, I love. They're just great pastors. I'm not saying they're flawless. I'm not
Hmm.
saying they're not going to say things that tick people off. You are not going to listen to any one podcast or leader in any way or person of influence that you enjoy listening to, and they're not going to tick you off a time or two. It's just not possible. We all have different viewpoints, and there might be things that are coming up in their life that you've never been witness or privy to, that you don't share the same belief or experience. I mean, life is about experiences for us, and that's what leads us ultimately into believing what we believe religiously, politically, all of it. It's because of what we've seen and heard and how we've been raised,
Hmm.
and everybody has different stories. And that's what leads them to become the people that they are with the belief system they have, or lack of. But, I've had some just amazing things with the Lord, and it's just been amazing. The other day was really cute. Just 2 nights ago. 2 nights ago or last night, my son got sick with me. He finally got his fever, and I made him lay with me. I said, "You got to sleep with me because I want to make sure you're okay. I want to take care of you, and I don't want you taking the steps after my episode on steps." So
Yeah.
he's 16. We're extremely close. He'll go up, get his jammies, cuddle up with me, and we watch movies. I have a very close relationship with my kids, whether
Yeah.
they're adults. I'll be sitting in my car with my 35-year-old son and hold his hand. Like, we are
Yeah.
very close. We're close. And so Tristan was laying there, and he said, we were just talking about our fever, about how freezing I was, and that I needed his warmth, um to stay warm myself, because I was shivering, and this was when I had my fever of 104. So this
Right.
the night before Tristan had his fever. That's when he was getting sick, but his fever hadn't kicked in yet. And I was like, will you just lay with me so I get warm? So he did. And so we're laying there, and he turns this Bible verse on. I gave him the remote. I said, turn it to anything you want. I am not kidding, Brittany. He turns it to the Bible verse of Solomon having a fever. This stuff makes me want to cry.
Wow.
Solomon had a fever and called for a fair maiden, sent for one to come in and lay with him to get warm, because they couldn't get him warm.
Oh, wow.
And I looked at Tristan and I said, that right there, out of all the things you could have clicked on, anything in the world, in the whole Bible, you could have, clicked on a Bible verse, that is the first thing that popped up that went immediately into this. I said, that was God letting us know he's here.
Yes.
I was like, that was amazing. The confirmations that I get from the Lord are mind-bending. They're
It's so
mind-bending.
beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's like, I was going to tell you the story. I was walking out of I asked Jesus one day, I said, I need to understand whether you want me to practice the Sabbath on Sunday or on Saturday. The true Sabbath is on Saturday.
Right.
Constantine had changed it to honor the sun god, which now all these Christians across the world are doing. They're
Hmm.
all walking, full throttle into practicing the Sabbath on Sunday. Sunday is not the true Sabbath. Sunday is actually, and I'm not a Seventh-day Adventist. I do have friends that are. But Sunday is the first day of the week. Saturday is the seventh day of the week. That's a
Hmm.
well-known fact. Well-known fact, Constantine had changed it. And I said to God, I said, do you want me? Because I don't go to church, but I will sit And I do so much with God. It's to the point where I don't even need to practice a lot of anything because I'm constantly practicing, constantly learning, constantly listening to sermons, pastors, everything, And so I said, well, I'd like to get together with like Tristan and, maybe Tressa and some of the other kids and, sit down in the morning and have breakfast and listen to a sermon. Do you want me to do this on Saturday or Sunday?
Right.
And 3 days later, of course, it was 3 days, God had sent me a dream. In dream state, I woke up and I heard God saying to me Friday and Saturday. I was getting Friday, but also hearing Saturday as well. And I was like, okay, God. Okay, the question was, do you want me to what day do you want me to practice the Sabbath? And I gave you a multiple choice question here. Was it Saturday or Sunday? And I wake up to you telling me I'm hearing God as I'm waking up telling me Saturday and something about Friday. And I'm like, I am so confused at this point, right?
Right.
So I don't know, a couple days later, I'm in my bedroom and this thing comes on YouTube. And I had been for 2 days, 3 days asking God to please clarify this. I said, you're going to have to clarify this because I have no idea what you're talking about. I know nothing about the Jewish faith. Okay. Very little. This thing comes on about the Jewish faith on YouTube about their normal, typical life. And it was something that was very doldrum. It was very kind of long and drawn out and kind of boring. But I tend to watch so much stuff though, but I thought I would never typically watch this ever.
Right.
So I'm sitting there watching this and I get up to go to the bathroom and I think, well, I'm going to turn it off and pause it and I'm going to go to the bathroom, come back and listen to the rest of it because I found myself a bit intrigued with it, but not very, a little bit. But anything with Jesus though and his lifestyle was, it's intriguing to me. So so I thought, well, I'll just let it play out. Who cares? It's just kind of, it's just kind of a thing. I'm probably going to change it anyway. So I get up and I go to walk out of the bedroom, and as I hit the door, I hear from sundown Friday to sundown Saturday is when the Jewish people practice their Sabbath.
Oh, wow.
And I'm tearing up. I whipped my head around and I looked at this in disbelief. My jaw dropped and I looked up and I was like, Jesus, you just answered me. And it was really profound. It was just like, wow.
That's
So that was
awesome.
my answer, that I believe that from sundown Friday, whether you're Jewish or not, till sundown Saturday is when you honor the Sabbath. That's when he wants us to honor it. So
That's interesting because when I was younger growing up, and of course, Sunday you would go to church for 3 hours, right?
yeah.
And this was something that I just within myself, if that makes sense, that it was Saturday, like growing up, that was the day that we would all do chores. Does that make sense? And clean the house and stuff. And then Sunday was our day of don't do anything.
Right.
But deep inside, I always felt, no, that's backwards. Saturday would be more of the day of like just, relax, I guess, for me. And yeah, like that, I guess I'm just saying that kind of goes back to like that divine knowing within yourself
Yeah.
or whatever, because that's how I felt.
Yeah.
I always felt like we had it wrong. We were backwards or something, if that makes sense. And I didn't.
Well, it goes, and everything being corrupted and twisted and, changed. And, this agenda of making sure we're as sick and as weak and as helpless and as uninformed and as controlled as they possibly can get. They soak every ounce and bit of spark and life and good out of us that they can get, and it just is continuing, you know. And I mean I mean Satan and his crew, whether the ETs are part of Satan, which I for me, I believe God told me that the ETs were demons, that they were of the dark realm, that they're not, they're not good, so
Yeah.
that's what I was told by God. I heard him tell me, as I had never in a million years thought that that was even a possibility. I just thought maybe God made another, form of life, that these were maybe other creatures or whatever, that there were other life forms. And then one day I just stopped cold in my tracks and heard God say, Tracy, they're demons.
Huh.
And I
Okay,
was
wow.
like,
That's
wow.
interesting.
Yeah. And so I have people that come on the show, that friends of mine even, that are like, well, some are good, some are bad. That may be. I'm not a know-it-all. I can't say that. I
Mm-hmm.
can't sit there and say that every Sasquatch is going to hell and they're all
Mm,
cursed and they're all an abomination and they're all bad. I don't know that. I'm not God. I know what,
me neither.
I know what we've been taught to believe. It
Right.
doesn't mean that it's right,
Did
but
I ever tell you what they had told me when I first saw them?
I
Saw
don't
the
know.
one in the one now I'm just bringing this up because this is so ironic that this is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Um the first time I ever had seen one, it 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 appeared, right? Like I saw it, like it was, I saw these golden, or when you remember the old sparklers we used to have, like growing
Yeah.
up, the little ones, I the orangish gold hue that comes off, that's what
Yeah.
I saw. And it caught my eye and I followed it, like with my eye. I was in my vehicle and it went right into the trees. And then I kind of thought, wow, that was strange. And then um all of a sudden this form started forming right behind these trees, like it kind of just was coming in and out, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then it walked over the snowbank, and I was sitting there. And when you first take off in a plane, how your head feels, because they pressurize the plane and stuff, you
Yeah.
kind of feel a
Yeah.
little heavy.
Yeah.
That had happened. And what's so funny is, I know this was not me, because where the heck would this come from? But and it was a male. He said, we're not all bad. And I remember thinking to myself, I was like kind of shook for a sec, like shocked in a sense. And I was like, and I even said out loud, well, we're not all bad either. Like, what do you say
Exactly.
to that? Right.
Right.
And that was it. That was the only thing I got that first time or whatever. So I mean, to be honest, I have no idea. I have no idea what they are or what. But then the second time I was told, um, we are just like you. That's all I got.
Mm-hmm. The
So,
Sasquatch say they come from the star people, is what they call them,
mhm.
which are potentially, the aliens, and they're potentially could be, good aliens, good, bad. I mean, Brittany, we don't know. And
Yeah, I know.
you get
How
these
would we
people that
know?
come on and they say, well, red eyes, they smell, there's a sense of impending doom. Okay. How about potentially that particular Bigfoot is an evil one? How about potential, like, think about
Yeah,
the Bigfoot that save people from car accidents, that
exactly.
have pulled people out of car wrecks, that have, helped people, that have helped heal people, that have.
Right.
So how do we have the answers to this? How can you honestly come on and say, because there's one Bigfoot that somebody has seen, or even multiple sightings all across the world, where they smell like death and they've got red eyes and they've got, a sense of impending doom,
Right.
then that's a bad Bigfoot. That's something that's telling you that you're in the presence of evil, because these things have higher, um, or, they have different abilities than we do,
Yeah,
obviously.
literally.
So maybe your angel that walks with you, or God, is telling you that this is a bad one, get away. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean the entire race is evil. It doesn't mean that they're all going to hell or that they were created by something evil. I mean, technically, everything is God's. Everything that's
Exactly.
created is God's because
See, that's the
God
way I
has
feel.
created the angels, God created Lucifer, he created, the watchers, and then if they create, it still goes back to God. So
Right.
God can choose what he decides to do with these beings. So say that the Bigfoot are created and they're what we would consider an abomination or what we believe is an abomination to God. Yes, they could be an abomination, but God also judges on intent. There could be, the chance that God sees because God does change. Like it says in the Bible, he doesn't ever change. That's not necessarily to be taken that God doesn't regret, God doesn't grow, God doesn't learn. Okay? Because he has. There's been accounts in the Bible where he's repented and he flooded the earth and he's had times where he changed his mind or so that's a saying that isn't necessarily, in my opinion, accurate. So he could see that these Bigfoot that were created, that there are some that are really kind, they're very loving, they're very good. There's a
Mm-hmm.
potential he does adopt them into his kingdom and allows them to be in communion with him. We don't know. We don't
Right.
know. And for anybody to run around and act as an expert, it's ludicrous. It's
Exactly.
ludicrous. But don't focus on that then. If it's a topic that you find offensive or you find too controversial or goes against your belief system, instead of saying no, this isn't that way, just focus on something else that you can really connect with. That's what I do. I don't allow something to drive me nuts to
No,
try to figure
that's
something
not
out
me.
that I yeah, you can't if you can't figure something out and you know you're not going to get the answer, then move on to something else that's more productive for yourself,
Right.
you
That's
know?
where I'm at. Like, it'll all come in good time. I'll be given the answer and I'll
It
figure it out
will.
when I need to.
Hopefully we'll get it
That's,
answered.
yeah, that's the way I,
But
I do wonder too if, you think of like the elementals and fairies and things like that. That's what's first started. Those were the energy forms I first started seeing and stuff. And then,
I was just going to
uh,
ask you about that. I was going to ask you to just give me a couple of those stories. Brittany has a lot of stuff to talk about too. She's got many stories, and for some reason, tonight, I
yeah,
feel that the Lord kind of walked into this conversation in this episode and
yeah,
decided that today was going to be dedicated to Him. So,
definitely. We
mostly,
definitely went there, didn't we?
right. And which mostly I think is probably the reason why we have not been disconnected a million times.
Isn't that funny? Yeah.
Mhm.
No
We're
kidding.
always disconnected, and today we weren't. But
Right?
just give me a story or two, and I'll have you on again because
Yeah.
there's so much to talk about. But
I know.
give me a story about some
Um,
fairies.
let's see. Okay, so when I first started, well, it wasn't when I first started because I seen it when I was younger, energy, right? And white light and stuff.
Hmm.
But as a child, it scared things scared me, and so I had blocked it out is what had happened. And I've always had this thing, just knowing things about people, or even getting like images, and instantly along with the image I get the feeling, from someone. Like, if say I meet my kid, one of my girls as friends, it's almost like I get this download of
Download.
information. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I'm the same way. Pat
Yep.
McRae, Robin's husband's the same way.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
And I just and I know, I mean, how would I, where does that come from, right? Like, I'm not.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
So
I get it too.
yeah. And so I it started coming back. Well, honestly, I had an MRI is what happened. And when I had the MRI, after that, things just started coming back, and like it did something to me. That's what was it was just phenomenal. It was bizarre but phenomenal.
You don't
And
have a
so
lesion on your brain anywhere, do you?
um ooh, I do not know that for
Okay,
sure.
I just wondered because I have a lesion they found on my brain on the right side, and they say they're highly connected to people with high psychic ability.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's weird. Go ahead though.
Yep. So, I started seeing the energy again, and the best way I describe it is what I see is between, the spaces between spaces. So like between the me and the chair, I see that, and it almost looks like I could say like the air moves, and
Right.
it'll be different colors sometimes. A lot of times I just see the white, and a lot of times I see gold, and then
You read
light blue.
auras too. You read auras. I can tell that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so I one morning, I in the beginning of this, it was like 2017. Yeah, 2017, 2018. It was in the morning, and what was funny is the night before I'd walked my nephew home, and I was talking to him about angels, believe it or not.
Hmm.
And on my way home, along the power lines, I thought what I was seeing was like these big winged being things, right? But it's the air, it's the outline of them, the motion. And I thought, wow, okay, geez. So the next morning I wake up and I come outside and I let my dogs out and I look up, and there is 12. They're not little. They were huge beings that were right in a full circle above me, and like I'm on the ground in the middle basically of them, and they were all just right there above me, and I was over filled with, I could feel the energy flowing from above my skull, through my feet, through the ground, and just this immense loving just feeling. It was just, words can't describe it.
So
And
describe the entities like in detail more. Like
so
how
when
tall were
I
they?
first was seeing them, what was crazy is I thought I was also seeing what looked like dragons, but they were white and
It doesn't
golden,
shock me. Yep.
float, going in around, like energy, like flowing in and around. And I saw they, each one of them had like a different type of crown on their head, but it was a part of their body, if that makes any
Yeah.
sense.
Okay.
And and what's crazy is after that day, um they were, I we would be like on our way to, go up to our cabin, like on a boat ride or whatever, in the trip, and I've always done this. I always say just a prayer in my head, like you just, yeah, I always ask for a blessing of protection, get us to and from safe and make good memories and stuff. And I would see them flying along with us along the road and stuff. I mean, it was crazy. And we, one, right after this had happened, I was sitting in the garage and I kept seeing this light, this white light that turned into like this hint of bluish purple. And I walked over to it and I was staring at it, and all of a sudden it formed hexagons. And the old tile flooring when you're younger, like the 90s, they were all hexagons,
Yeah.
and they were connecting each other, and I could see them, and I was literally watching them build one on top of another, in this, making this huge circular hole in the ceiling of my garage. I mean,
That's
it was,
crazy.
and I thought, I'll be damned, like does this mean? Like, what is going on? And I
Portal or
kept asking
dimension.
myself that, like, what am I seeing? Because in my mind, like, I want to go to fairies or elementals, but then I'm going angels. Like, what is this 12 and stuff? So one morning I woke up, and I woke up I was, before I woke up, like dream state, I had walked back out onto my porch, and um I heard this thing hit the roof, like thunk, and a little bit of bells like jingling. And I
Yeah.
looked up, and it was this little fairy, and she was all green, right? Like a really
Right.
pretty green. And she had bells on her. She literally had like little trinket bells attached to her everywhere, like
Wow.
trinkets. And she had a crown as well, but the crown was a part of her body, and it was green as well. I'll send you, because I drew a picture of her, and I drew a picture of another one that I've
Please
seen.
do, Britt. Let me send them to me as soon as you
Yeah,
can.
yeah,
I'm
I will.
really fascinated.
And I just thought, and it was so sweet and cute. Like she just smiled at me and waved and was like, "I'm right here," and that was that. And then
Oh,
another time, I'd seen one that had this that was almost all orange, like a yellowish, more on the yellow orange side. It was
yeah.
beautiful, and he was poking out around the shed around this plant, and there's got to be something to this. He had a crown as well that was still a part of his body. Um,
Maybe the dragons are no, are the dragons were they part of the fairy sightings too?
well, yeah, they were. Yeah, when I saw those 12 above me, that's where I seen them flowing, and this went on for months, every single day.
Wow.
It and they have the best way. They have a pearlescent, like a pearl, right, white, a
Yeah.
pearlescent golden hue to them, in light formation, and it was the most intense, like, beautiful thing that you could ever see. And it was so, to the point, I'm like, if anybody else was out here, it wasn't like this is just, a form of air. No,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
talking full blown, physical form right there, that you just cannot deny. And it was incredible. And
How
same with,
tall were they? Like
oh
how
my
big?
gosh, Tracy,
Like
they're
like 12.
15 feet tall.
Yes, I was gonna say 12 inches. Okay.
Yeah. And the little one that I saw in my dream, she was tiny, she was small.
Oh,
And I kind of have a little bit of maybe wondering, when they come into form, like maybe on this realm, is it easier for them to be smaller? Because it's got to be hard. You go from a higher vibration, a higher realm, coming into spirit, from a spirit form to this realm.
yeah.
It's got to mean something. Just same thing with the when I'd seen those rods of lights with the Sasquatch. um I got this smell, that reminds. I grew up in Utah, and every time a storm would come in, you smell this sulfuric smell that comes off the Great
Yeah.
Salt Lake. And
Yeah.
I'd seen these rod lights bouncing through the trees, and it wasn't like, you see an energy form. I mean, they were right there. If anybody else were right, they would have seen him too. My dogs watched it. It was
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
And but a fog had come down, and that smell. And all the years I've lived here in Alaska, never once have I ever smelt that smell, ever, here. And I don't know if that happens when possibly moving to between dimensions, worlds, or what,
I
because
don't know. It is odd. It's a that sulfuric spell
yeah,
be,
right.
associated with the devil, but I
Yeah, and it
and
wasn't.
then
That's what was weird. It wasn't like a bad. Where you hear people describe that, right?
yeah.
That's not what it was at all. It wasn't. It really reminded me of the Great Salt Lake. Yeah, like this
Oh yeah,
sulfur.
like a almost like a more moderate salt
Yeah,
smell.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It wasn't like this. I mean, I've
And they
heard
don't all
people.
smell either, Britt. They like there's people
No,
that have
because
these
the other one
sightings.
didn't either. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
there's
right.
that's what I mean. Heck, like maybe, the ones that do smell, maybe they have more of a sinister um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, thing going on or I don't
I
know. I
kind
mean,
of want. I kind of like like how you hear those stories too. Is there Are they picking up on maybe certain people's energies, right? Like, are they
yeah.
projecting that, or you're right. Or is it that, like, are they coming from the more sinister side of things? Because
Yeah, because
how is it
otherwise you'd think they would all smell. They would all,
right? And
I
no,
mean,
they didn't. The first, not at all. In fact,
right.
I'm going to be honest. I felt euphoric, Tracy. I liked what I was feeling. I wanted him to come back. That's what was nuts.
Crazy, isn't it? That worries me because they've got these abilities to hypnotize people and stuff, but you don't know. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe just a friendly one. I mean, I don't
right.
know.
And that's
I
what happened too. It was me like start laughing back and was like, well, we're not all bad either. And he just
Yeah,
nodded and turned and walked away and went through the trees and completely disappeared.
yeah, right into a portal. And
Yep.
everybody that talks about this stuff is we're the crazy ones.
Yeah.
No,
Isn't that funny?
I love
Isn't that
that one
funny how
story.
that's so projected? Like we're the
Skinwalker
crazy
Ranch cracks me up. The new owner that bought Skinwalker
Oh
Ranch.
God, Brandon. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, but they said he bought the place because he was
It,
just intrigued, and that the deal was when he bought it, he didn't have the same contract that he wasn't allowed to dig because the previous owner was never allowed to dig certain feet into the ground, and everybody was like, why?
right.
What's the deal with that? So this new guy buys it, and he's outside on his porch holding his cup of coffee, and he's just standing there looking around at his beautiful property that's probably half like he just bought Looneyville basically, and
Yep.
he's holding his cup of coffee, and he said he's just looking off into the distance, thinking about how beautiful the day was. He goes, and 1 minute it's just sky, like where you're looking out, looking at trees and the ground and the pretty, like grass, all stuff. He goes and just in the smack in the middle of his view opens up this like window, and out
Yep.
walks this Bigfoot. He turns around, he shuts the portal, and he just walks off. He, he's
See?
sitting there
Like
drinking his coffee, like,
as he's drinking
wow,
his coffee, like
yeah,
this is just norm.
yeah, this is the norm. And see, and that's what with people that are dealing with these sightings. I mean, you get desensitized. It becomes
You
your
kind of
norm.
do, right, Tracy?
Yeah,
I mean, after the so much has happened that I know that I kind of catch myself like where I'm like, I know this sounds crazy or whatever, but it is.
I
I
know.
can't deny what I saw, and I can't, and I
No,
just, it's turned into the. I mean, really,
that's
dreams
why
of
we
them
need
now.
each other.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh God,
literally. I
you
mean, the
know.
one where I had the dream of them, that was bizarre because I literally woke up. I thought my cat was on my bed purring, and we have a
Yeah.
ragdoll Siamese cat. He wasn't there. He wasn't even on the top floor with me. He was on the other end of
Oh
our
my
home. We
God.
have a 33 square home. He wasn't even in the remote area. And then as I heard this noise again, that's what was so bizarre is it was I don't want to say growl because it was more of a humming noise that
Yeah.
I instantly fell asleep. And when I fell asleep, this is where I felt like I was like suctioned.
Mm-hmm.
And next thing I
Mm-hmm.
know, I'm with a mom and a daughter Sasquatch, and they're showing me where they live. They're showing me where they lie down, and we're showing me different types of
Yeah.
forms of wood and trinkets and sticks and plants that they
Oh,
use.
that's cool. I mean, that's cool. I mean, honestly, if it
It's
turned out
just,
well,
yeah, I mean, at least it was that right, exactly like that. But that was that
yeah.
one that has still stuck with me. I'm not gonna lie. Like I still
Well, yeah.
one like what is that mean? Like
You you
what
need
are
to
you
start
guys
a
trying to
journal
tell
for
us?
me. You need to get a journal around and write down every experience you've had, and I have to add this because this is my life, all the experiences you're going to have,
Okay.
and keep track of them so when you're back on with me, we
Yeah.
cover all of them,
Okay,
you
I
know?
will for sure. I have been jotting those down. It's funny that happened with the other one the other day with Putin. That was very,
That's
very
that's
bizarre
not
because that one,
that's
then
cool.
that's usually how it goes too.
Yeah.
Out of
Yeah.
nowhere, just, overly hit with something, and I can feel it, I can
Yeah.
smell it, I can tell you where the bookshelves were in his room.
That's
Wonder if
amazing.
they even have a picture of his home.
God, that's crazy. Yeah, that would be neat. The fairies that you were talking about, were those sightings with the dragons and the fairies, were they in Alaska?
Yep, they were. Yep.
Figures, yeah. That's Brittany, by the way, just to reiterate this, she lives in Alaska. So
I do. Yes, I do.
the
I
crazy
traveled.
woman lives in Alaska. Or
I
that, no,
know.
not you're a crazy woman, that you're crazy to live in Alaska, but it
Yeah, for sure.
sounds, I want to go to Alaska. I want to come visit. So
Oh, you should come up
it'll
here.
be,
I would love to take you guys. We could go up to our cabin for a weekend. You would just
oh,
have a blast.
oh yeah, sure. Well, I'll bring Robin with me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then maybe Robin can communicate with the
Yeah.
screaming, howling thing and let me
Yeah.
know what the heck you want. You know what was weird is, did I tell you what had happened the night before? We were on a sandbar across the street, or
Mhm.
street, excuse me, across the river, and
Mhm.
a bird was whistling, and it was a bird I'd never heard before. And so I kept whistling back so much. This went on for like 20, 30 minutes. And even my sister started laughing. She goes, "Are you guys having your own conversation?" And I said, "I guess so." And
Oh
then,
no.
yeah, that was at like 11:30. I mean, don't get me wrong, it doesn't get dark here, so it was still light out. Like, it will get dusk and dawn, and then the
Yeah.
sun comes back up. But I remember hearing a story from the elders, or some knowledge from them, saying to, be careful when you're whistling, in the woods and stuff at night or whatever. It wasn't
Oh
nighttime,
yeah.
but we don't get nighttime so much here. But it was
Yeah.
just ironic that that had happened, and then the very next morning that thing was screaming. And I mean, you could feel its footsteps vibrating on the ground. You could feel it. It was like two vocal cords together with this high pitched howl roar that was just.
Sounds like a
And I
dog.
never felt afraid until the third one. And I looked, and my dog was literally on top of my feet.
Oh,
And it was,
poor
and I
baby.
remember I was like, "Oh my gosh, put her in the cabin."
Yeah.
But it was just, and it walked. Did it 7 times. It walked towards us, and then walked literally as if it had followed the slough back. And like, it was, I didn't feel like it was. I didn't feel threatened, but I felt like it was pissed. If that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
if you guys have any questions too, sometimes when we get into talks, we kind of go off,
yeah.
topic a bit, and we don't finish maybe a thought sometimes. So if there's anything we say here, and anybody has any questions, and you need us to, you know, go back in and answer anything, just put comments up, or message me, and I'll let if there's anything we didn't complete.
I'll
But
send you my drawings of the fairies.
yeah, send me the drawings. I want to see those. We should get
Yeah.
off. It's getting, we've been on pretty long. I don't want to go too long here, but I definitely want to have you on again.
Sounds
Um
like a plan.
I know it might take a while because of our schedules are always crazy, but
Yeah.
the really cool thing, do you know who Vic Cundiff is? From
No.
He's from a show called Dogman Encounters.
Oh, wait. What was his name?
Vic Cundiff.
No. I don't.
Yeah, he's got a really great show, but
Huh.
he might be coming on my show.
Oh,
And
cool.
Vic doesn't go on people's shows. So this is really cool because he's very elusive and nobody really knows anything about him. We have to still get together and decide, what we're going to do, but he wants me on his show as well. So he has
Awesome.
a pretty cool show. And I'm excited about that. He messaged me last night. So I was happy about that, but it's pretty
That'll
cool.
be exciting.
You just get more and more doors that keep opening
Yeah.
and opening up for you every turn you
Isn't
make.
that the truth?
More and more doors open up. It's just the most amazing thing. It's got to be, there's a reason for this. There's got to be a higher power at work here
Absolutely.
that's connecting what, Rob and I have talked about, people potentially for the great battle to be evolved of, helping one another and
I think
this
so.
whole thing that's going on here. So
Ooh, I'll
it's,
have to, when we get done, you'll have to remind me of something. I got to tell you, someone who messaged me.
oh, okay. Yeah.
Speaking of
Yeah.
that.
Okay. Yeah, just we'll sign off now,
All
and
right.
I will, actually I'll give you a quick call.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
Okay. Sounds
Okay.
good. It was great
S-
having you on, Britt.
Thanks for having me on. I love it. We'll do it again
Yeah.
soon. All
Yeah,
right.
definitely. Take
Okay.
care, hon.
You too. Bye.
All right, everyone. That is the show for the night. I found it very interesting how we had really just one incident where we got disconnected, and the podcast ended up being so much about the Lord. And I felt that he just kind of, as I said on the podcast, just kind of walked into the show tonight. So, very important stuff. It means a lot to me to share it and, to put that out there because, I really love the Lord and I serve him, and I want people to understand that that is definitely part of this show. It's a huge part of this show. So, um, Brittany and I got off, and when we disconnected, I gave her a quick call back, and we ended up talking further. She was telling me that there was another bluish purple angelic being she had an encounter with, which I'll talk about on the next episode with her. And also told me that I think he's one of the founders of Gaia, had messaged her and was interested in interviewing her. And he made a statement that about the delusion that everyone is under here, that we're all under some kind of a spell that's been cast over us by these entities that are in charge down here, or think they're in charge, the ones that we've given power to so willingly. So there's some interesting stuff here I want to discuss on the next episode. I find it interesting, when we think about our world and how we were talking about, how people maybe all of the time aren't the ones that are truly at work here when things are done, like sin and evil acts and, murders and rapes and all kinds of stuff that's going on, that these are entities that are attached to people causing it, feeding off the negativity and our destruction. And I just got to thinking about what God sees when he looks at us. And if we could only see what he sees, that we aren't dealing with just human beings down here. And that's, in a sense, probably why God loves us so much, because he doesn't see us as the culprits, not completely anyway. Another thing I found interesting was, just so you all know, I'm asking for prayer for Robin McCrae. She has been, I believe, diagnosed with pancreatitis. She's been fighting that. We thought she had COVID, and she ended up going to the hospital. And for the last I heard, they thought she had pancreatitis. And I was telling Brittany about this, and she was kind of floored because she said that she just got over having pancreatitis. Robin's friend that she hugged, who was actually confirmed that they had COVID. I'm not sure if it was that friend or another one, but somebody else close to Robin has had pancreatitis, I think, just this week. And Brittany, as I was telling her about this, she divulged that she had had pancreatitis, and her husband or somebody else she knew had pancreatitis just this week. So the thing that I had mentioned to Brittany was, I wonder if there's a possibility COVID is causing pancreatitis. So be very careful, guys. If you've got a fever and it's not getting better and other stuff's going on, like with Robin, make sure you get to the hospital and get checked out, because this COVID stuff might be turning into something else. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that's happening from it. People having neurological issues, having, lung issues, having, like brain fog, I mean, there's just such a whole wide range of things that are happening from it. So be very careful. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm just throwing it out there that's, that it's just a thought. So be very careful and mindful of that. So hope you guys enjoyed the show. Love to you all. You guys stay safe. Say your prayers. Just put on your armor of God every day, guys. And really consider the fact that God is real and that the Lord is real and He lives and that we are in a full-blown war zone down here in a completely supernatural realm. That is our reality. So, God bless you all. Have a wonderful rest of your night or day. And I will be back soon, hopefully with a much better voice that's healing each day as I go. Take care.